You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Bremen Motor Cars and by Wellington Anti-Aging. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
Well, we got a lot of good stuff to get to today. Back end of the show, going to be talking about your Miami Hurricanes, college football. Going to be talking about the different kinds of Hurricane fans that you see. And boy, there are many different kinds of Hurricane fans.
There's a few.
Yeah. Some of them are a lot worse than others.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Kev. No idea.
Going to be talking about college football, too, the strength of schedule and how not every team has the same path to the college football playoff and why the NCAA's got to fix it. Probably working the Dolphins here a little bit, but hey, the Marlins are actually very interesting, but not for the reasons why you'd want your baseball team to be interesting. I mean, you know what? Hey, if you can't play baseball well, why don't you just turn it into a freaking drama, right?
You know, you might as well. You got to stay in the news and stay relevant somehow, right? So
yeah, I guess that's how they're going to do it. You know, we've gone on and on the last couple of days talking about this Ronald Acuna Jr. for the Braves. I mean, a guy just every time he gets up to bat leads off a game with the jack. Bam, it's awesome what he's doing, record-setting kind of stuff. Then he gets up last night to start off the game, and you got Jose Urena on the mound for the Marlins. First pitch of the ball game, is it going to be another leadoff home run?
And he got smoked on the very first pitch. Chad Fairchild right out in front of the plate. Acuna tosses the helmet down, and now in a crouch on the third base line. The very first pitch of the game nails Ronald Acuna Jr. And now the Braves are coming out of their dugout looking at Urena.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Both benches are going to empty.
Brad Snitker's leading the charge.
Yeah, that is the Braves manager. And it got ugly from there. You had the benches clear out twice last night.
I had to take a double take when I saw this last time. I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, I didn't realize that the Marlins and Braves were still playing this series. I feel like they've been playing each other for 2 weeks now.
I know, yeah.
That was my first thing about it. And then they said, first pitch. You know, I was changing around last night. I'm scrolling through Twitter. I see, wait, what do you mean first pitch? And again, like you said, Acuna Jr. is the guy I've been talking about the entire week. And that was Urena's response, I guess. It was just a throw right at him on the first pitch.
97.5 miles per hour. It's the fastest pitch that Urena's ever thrown to open a game.
But yet he says he did it by accident.
That's what he says.
Which, I mean, come on, man.
He says, look, I didn't mean to do it.
I feel pretty bad because the thing, like, you know, the people get upset and things like that, you know, but I get upset too because how I go away 5 days for just go out there and make one pitch and get kicked out of the game, that don't make sense, right?
So what he's saying is that, why would you think I did this on purpose? It wouldn't make sense for me to do this on purpose because now I'm going to get suspended for 5 games. But of course you did it on purpose. I mean, it's a great excuse, but of course it was on purpose.
He's trying to back him off the plate.
Well, you know what? That I might believe because Urena has been so bad this year that I wouldn't be surprised if he was trying to back him off the plate and he just lost complete control of his pitch. That to me might be believable because he's just been that bad this year. Mm-hmm. But it would look pretty intentional.
Well, he says that it wasn't intentional. The Braves manager obviously thinks that it was.
Because it was obvious that was intended to hit him. And there's no reason for a young man to be hit like that when all he's doing is just playing the game. He's not doing anything to show anybody up. He's just, he's playing the game. That's a shame that happened.
That's the thing to me that's so tough about baseball is it is the underlying rules and everybody seems to know, and you also even kind of like know when somebody's about to get plunked. It's just the way it goes in baseball, but they always argue that it wasn't intentional. How do you ever really know? And you just say the situations were right for it, but that's not one of those traditional situations where you plunk somebody, is it?
No, I think that caught everybody off guard, right? I mean,
he's just a guy that, we read the stats yesterday with Ronald Acuna Jr. and just how on fire he's been. Not just, the fact that he's hit leadoff home runs the last 3 games, but I mean, it goes deeper than that. He had 2 home runs. I mean, this is a kid that is on an unbelievable run, and he's up for Rookie of the Year, arguably. This is going to sideline him for a good bit. I mean, some people are talking, hey, some people said, hey, you ought to rest him a couple of weeks. You don't want to go in there. He stayed in the game for a little bit, only got that one at bat, and then came out. And, it's going to affect him. If nothing else, it's one of those things that your mind, it messes with your head.
Yeah, and he'll probably be out for a week now.
Taking almost 98-mile-an-hour fastball on the elbow, it's something that you'll think of next time you're at bat. And that's the kind of stuff that throws hitters off.
And I just love how Urania has saved his fastest pitch of the season.
Yeah.
For this one time where he's throwing it at the guy.
That's what makes you believe that, okay, this probably was intentional.
He threw it as fast as he possibly could.
Yeah, you think so. Maybe he didn't intend to hit him on the elbow. Maybe he tried to hit him somewhere else. Keith Hernandez
Oh, man.
Had an interesting take on this and actually was like, okay, I get it. Maybe this is good baseball.
They're killing you. You've lost 3 games. Right. He's hit 3 home runs. You got to hit him. I'm sorry. I mean, people are not going to like that.
What?
You got to hit him.
What? Keith?
He said, you got him. You got to knock him down. I mean, seriously, knock him down if you don't hit him. He said, you never throw at anybody's head or neck. You hit him in the back. You hit him in the fanny. That's what Keith Hernandez is saying that they were trying to do, and he said that's what you should try to do. That's his strategy on it. But, I mean, come on. If we honestly are going to go after people just because they're doing well, and that's what baseball's all about, saying, okay, hey, look, they're doing really well, so we need to – I mean, that's almost like if you have a player that's doing well or a quarterback, you're going to go and put in some scrub and say what you need to do, go high, hit the quarterback in the head, and try to get a concussion.
Yeah, it's
because
dirty.
Tom Brady's doing great. I mean, that's not sport. That's not competition.
It's like Karate Kid, which I can say this now because I just finally saw Karate Kid in my life last week.
Oh, what'd you think?
I thought it was very good. It was very good. Nice story.
Really like, you just thought it was okay.
No, it was good. It was good.
You got to watch it when you're young.
Well,
man.
here's the thing: I had a lot of cheesy '80s movies moments, of course. I mean, that's undeniable. But it was still good. It was a good story.
Yeah.
Like I said, some cheesy things, but I got to see all the famous lines. Sweep the leg. This reminds me of
"Get him a body bag." That's my favorite line in Karate Kid.
I just thought the ending was
such a tool.
Such a tool.
Yeah.
It's so cheesy where he comes up running to what's his name? The main character. I just forgot
Miyagi.
his name. Yes.
Oh my gosh! Come on, Daniel, son of Miyagi. Daniel, son of Miyagi. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yes, he comes. The guy he was going against comes running up to him and says, "Here's the trophy." And he's crying. He's like, "Here, you got
LaRusso, yeah.
Yeah, it's
that's Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny. There you go.
Yeah.
Now they got the whole Cobra Kai show going now.
Gosh,
and
I can't believe you just saw Karate
Just saw it.
Okay.
And now I'm gonna watch the second one.
Okay.
Yes.
Now tie this back into baseball. What were you saying?
To tie this back in, went on a little tangent of Karate Kid there. The sweep the leg. That's what it's like. It's dirty.
Mm-hmm.
It's dirty sport.
Yeah.
And I don't get it, man. This isn't baseball. I don't understand what Keith Hernandez is getting at here. I don't get it. I mean, I understand you want to brush a guy back.
He's old school, and this is the kind of stuff, and it's all about the intention. And that's the problem with baseball, because how do you regulate this? You want it. Urania's saying, I'm going to get a 5-game suspension. He said, why would I do it? Because I would get that. That's the thing that's tough, because, a pitch can get away from you. That's just kind of the nature of what happens. But you have these scenarios that are set up, and it just does seem very suspicious. In this whole thing. And Mattingly, they asked him about it, and is a manager ever going to say, yeah, I had him hit him? No. He said the coach speak.
What we said with Jose is, I don't want to see this kid get hit. I mean, he's a great player. He's going to be great for a long time. And for us, he's beat us up. But this is not the way we want to handle that situation. I would never want that kid getting hit and cause that kind of problem.
Yeah. So now you got the Marlins losing a 4-game series in there and continuing the losing streak. What is it, like 13 of 15 or
14 of
something?
16 now.
14 of 16.
Yeah.
It's just, I stopped, keeping count.
We've lost count.
So now you're not only you suck, but you look classless.
Not a good mix.
This is what Freddie Freeman had to say, the Braves first baseman.
That was gutless. I know that wasn't the Marlins. That was just Jose Urena. I don't understand it. It makes no sense. Just because a player is having fun playing a game, swinging the bat incredibly well, obviously. That just makes no sense. That was completely classless on Jose Urena's part.
Yeah, so how do you make a 4-game sweep look even worse? You do something that to everybody but Urania looks completely classless.
I mean, everybody's
Yeah.
pretty much in agreement. I mean, we are correct on this, right? Like, it's a really Bush League
It's
move,
too suspect.
right?
It's the speed of that pitch and how it came in. It seems Bush League, and it seems legit, and it looks bad, and there's nothing you're going to be able to say because you've been getting house, you've been schooled. It's not the fact too that the Marlins were losing in these series; it's how they were losing. They were getting pounded every single game. I mean, they were losing badly.
And are we absolutely 100% positive that Don Mattingly had nothing to do with this scenario? I mean,
he's not going to admit it.
Urania just goes out there by himself and decides to throw at this guy. No manager's called, just takes it upon himself to do this. I just find that kind of weird.
That's suspect, absolutely.
Right?
But I think that's classless, but maybe that's what old school baseball was. Keith Hernandez, an old school guy. Donnie Baseball, old school guy. I mean, is that the mentality that baseball used to have? And isn't it a mentality baseball needs to get rid of? Baseball's got a lot of things they got to shake loose. And this attacking someone with a baseball at 98 miles an hour, to me, is asinine.
You do this in the open world in society, you get arrested for assault.
It's assault. It is completely assault.
With a deadly weapon.
Right. But how do you prove intent?
Yeah.
Because you are a batter that's standing there and knowing a 98-mile-an-hour fastball is coming somewhere near you. So
I wouldn't be surprised if Mattingly said, hey, brush this guy back a bit because he's been killing us. And maybe that's what he was trying to do, and possibly the ball got away from him. Maybe that's the case. But again, it just looks too obvious.
The Marlins just couldn't have had a worse series.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they're in a complete free fall. And it just looks bad. And how long is it going to take for the Marlins to turn it around? You know, Jeter admitted that things weren't looking good this season. What do you say now, dude?
But don't forget, he said earlier this week, Jeter, that things are moving in the right direction. So we can always hold on to that hope.
Can we get a requote on that?
Yes, please.
How you feeling today, Jeets? Coming up here in a couple minutes, you know, the end goal is to make the college football playoff with 4 teams. But is the path the same for everybody, and should it be? We'll discuss next.
Think Loria did a bad job? Wait till you hear this crap. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
You know, when you're talking about the NFL, you make the playoffs. Sure, strength of schedule is different. Some teams got a harder path than others.
Right.
Some teams playing a tougher division. But in the NFL, there's a lot less disparity than there is in the college game. You don't have the equivalent of an FSS or FCS team. I know you could say the Cleveland Browns are as close as you could get.
That is close, yeah.
But, I mean, technically, they're still not an FCS team. I mean, they're still the Cleveland Browns, and even a team like that on a good day could beat them. But there's no way a team like the Citadel is ever going to beat Alabama.
No.
It's just, it's physically, I think it's impossible. I mean, the closest that you ever got was Appalachian State beating Michigan in 2007. And Appalachian State, a decent team, and Michigan was kind of on the way down. That was the closest you're going to get. So a lot of coaches are now starting to talk because it just doesn't seem like everybody has the same path to college football playoff, and they don't. And now it looks really suspect that you have not only some teams, but you have some conferences starting to schedule down. And ultimately, for me as a college football fan, I think what's good for the game would be for college football teams to schedule the toughest opponents that they possibly can. It's better for the fan base. It's ultimately better for the game. And you also have to maintain some kind of level playing field. You can't have one conference with a cupcake schedule walking into the conference playoff, especially if they're going to land 2 teams out of the 4 and other conferences having a tougher road to go. And it's not just talking about the in-conference schedule. The big thing is talking about the out-of-conference schedule.
Mm-hmm.
The Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12 all play 9 conference opponents every single year.
Right.
The SEC and the ACC, they play 8. But, you know, there's an SEC rule that requires its schools to play at least one non-conference game against a Power 5 opponent. But 5 ACC teams, Clemson, Florida State, will play a pair. So they kind of make it up saying, okay, yeah, we may have to play less in conference, which to me, I would rather see a Power 5 play more conference. Why didn't everybody go to 9? Let's make that standard. I mean, should you not have to make all the schedules pretty much the same? And I'd feel good about that.
Yeah, it would make sense to be uniform, wouldn't it? But, I mean, the problem here is, too, is when we make the comparison to the NFL and how the NFL does it, which we have no problems with how they do it, there's only 32 teams.
Mm-hmm. In
college football, I had to look this up real quick while actually we were talking about it. I thought it was 121 teams. It's actually 129 now. I don't know where these other teams came from or when.
Yeah.
But you're talking about 129 different schools that you now have to regulate and figure out the scheduling of who plays who and when. And it's just tough, man, because it's also so regional, right? I mean, when you have the NFL, you have the NFC South, you have everything broken up.
Yeah, but I think you're making this a lot more complex than it needs to be.
Which is normally what I do with things.
I'm just talking about the simplification of this, that you've got Power 5 conferences. You've got 3 of them that are required to play 9 conference opponents. 2 of the 5 are only required to play 8. That's a quick, easy fix, isn't it?
Just make it 9 throughout the 5 conferences.
How do you not? I mean, that's to me the immediate no-brainer. And the Big Ten rule has been, and I think they've waffled back and forth because they're a little sour with what happened last year. Ohio State completely did it to themselves and knocked themselves out with that awful game at Iowa.
Right.
But their argument is that was their extra game because Iowa's on the other side of the bracket. That was their additional conference game. That was what Alabama had in Mercer last year. So Ohio State's saying, so if we just could have or would have scheduled Mercer instead of Iowa, who would have been in the college football playoff? How many millions of dollars did the conference and that school lose because we require schools in our conference to schedule harder?
And that's the other thing, too, that kind of confuses me with this is that when you have a conference like the ACC, is money, of course money's involved, but does it come down to a money decision where you only have 8 conference games because you want to play some of the out-of-conference games? Is there a money reason with this? Because it's not like they don't have enough teams that they can play against. I mean, Miami, for instance, they're playing at Toledo. They play FIU. They play Savannah State. Obviously, they had the first game against LSU, so that's an out-of-conference opponent. They can take out one of those games and play like an NC State or Maryland. I mean, there's enough teams in the ACC to do this.
I'm okay with that. I mean, to me, I think it's cool to have the regional, but if you wanted to make it 8, I just think all the conferences have to be the same, and I think they should have to play the same number of Power 5 teams. And to me, it's ultimately better. And I think they have no business playing FCS teams. That's not good for the fans, and I know the only thing it's good for is the people at the FCS school who are making the money because they get a big payday. But those kids who are getting pummeled by Alabama, I mean, is that really great for them?
No, it's been a problem for a long time, man. And I think we actually, and by the way, Maryland's in the Big Ten, so I don't know why I included them in the ACC there when it was saying that earlier. They used to be, right? Is that what I was thinking about?
They were.
Temple maybe was in there somewhere. No, that was the Big East. I'm just getting all mixed up now with all these.
You're all over the place here.
All these old conferences. How about the SWAC? No, when it comes down to it, you have a team like Alabama, like you said, playing Mercer. Come on, man. Like, what are you doing? And that's been a problem for a while, is that these schools, for lack of a better term, prostitute these players out just to make I shouldn't say just, but they make a couple $1 million, but they're going to get killed.
But here's the thing for me. Make the product better. Make the playing field even. That's the two things. If you, for instance, have season tickets to Alabama, here's what you're going to see at home. Citadel, Arkansas State, Louisiana Fighting Cajuns.
Oh, the Raging Cajuns. All right.
And Missouri. Okay, so that's what you're paying for as an Alabama fan. Those are the games you're going to sit through.
That's disgusting.
And you gotta be like, what are we doing? Why am I paying this? I mean, to me, that's completely asinine. And again, you've got the SEC right there laying up, and it's also the fact too that you will notice strategically they're putting powder puffs right before their tough conference opponents. So Alabama is getting to play like a Citadel right before they are playing like an LSU or an Auburn.
Right.
And that's another part of the problem. You know, when you've got 3 juggernauts in a row, that's what's tough, is to run that gauntlet. And as close as it is, getting only 4 teams in, if we're going to have that, all it takes is one little trip and you're out.
Well, I mean, another easy solution, and maybe this will come a few years down the road, is to expand the playoff. But that's a whole different issue to begin with.
To me, the easiest thing, though, is right now, if we're going to have this where we've got a unified playoff system in college football, every conference has got to get on the same page, and they're not.
It makes sense to me, at least in the simplest form. Why not do that? Alabama, by the way, at home the first game against Louisville, And then the fans at least get a treat in the final game of the season against Auburn. So that game is in Tuscaloosa this year, right after the Citadel game.
But, I mean, you're arguing, and I do understand. I do defend that you don't know when you schedule these teams a lot of times how good they're going to be. But it is very convenient that, the quarterback is gone from Louisville.
Yeah.
And they've got what they got. It was a good time to face them.
It does, yeah.
They don't do well against mobile quarterbacks either.
No, that does help. And also, to be fair, not that I want to defend Alabama here, but Missouri is an SEC team now. So it is a conference opponent.
But I was just saying, but they're atrocious.
They're really bad.
They're easily the bottom feeder of the SEC.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just saying, that's going to be a lot of your home schedule. Yeah, I mean, the Auburn game is great. Good for you. But, I mean, you're going to sit through all those other teams.
Citadel, my gosh. I mean, you're right. Arkansas State, Citadel, Louisiana Lafayette. Man, like, why? If I was an Alabama fan and I had, like you said, I had season tickets, it'd be like, I'd be selling half of my tickets. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good for the fans, and it's ultimately not fair for the playoff system.
No, it's not. And a lot of these teams have watered-down schedules, and that goes back to the argument of, is it better to have a schedule like that, or is it better to play the tough out-of-conference schedule like Ohio State has tried to do in the past? For
a year, you thought it was going to be good, that you're going to get rewarded for the strength of schedule, but it's starting to look like the committee does not reward you. They penalize you more for a bad loss like Ohio State and Iowa last year than they do reward you for having a stronger schedule. So it's just too bad. Because you look at UCLA, who's got the number one strength of schedule. They got Oklahoma, Washington, USC, Stanford, Oregon, Fresno State. I mean, that's just great games every single week that you want to see.
Yeah.
And to me, hey, if a team looks great, if you've got 3 losses, I'd rather see that in the Final Four than a team that has gone through 3 FCS teams.
Actually, to that point, I heard our friend the Bear on TV last night.
Lucky, yeah,
doing a little college football preview show. And he actually said, according to his calculations, you know Chris Felica and his calculations are pretty dead on. But he was saying that, according to his calculations, it's very, very likely that a two-loss Big Ten team can make the playoff this year, just because of the way the schedules are set up.
That's only if the committee agrees with him, and I don't think they do. I think that they are looking more at a clean slate and winning games than they are who you played. I know they don't say it that way, but I tell you, honestly, you look back at last year, the Buckeyes should have scheduled Citadel.
Yeah.
Coming up here in just a couple minutes, I think the LSU game has gotten scarier for the Miami Hurricanes. I will tell you why. And we'll also talk about the 3 different kinds of Cane fans that there are next.
Can't wait to break down last night's game? Yeah, not. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
Yeah, baby. I think your Canes going to be starting out with a really good game. I'm getting a little bit pumped for this LSU game. Now, LSU, solid players. I think their coach is actually already on the hot seat. Now, they finished relatively strong last year. They lost that game to Troy and then went on a nice tear, and I think they lost their bowl game right at the end. LSU had really good running backs. They've had really good wide receivers, really good defense, and especially defensive line, but the quarterback position has really been weak. I mean, aside from Russell, that's really the last great LSU quarterback that you had. And I talked about this guy because I thought he was going to wind up transferring to Florida to be a Gator, but he wound up at LSU. That's Joe Burrow, who was the backup quarterback at Ohio State, a guy that I got to really take a look at. He's former Mr. Ohio, and a guy that I thought was better than the quarterback that the Buckeyes had last year. J.T. Barrett. I thought he was a much better quarterback.
Really?
But I do. I think they kept Barrett in because he was more of a field general kind of thing, and I think that Urban had his loyalties, and people are questioning Urban's loyalties to certain people right now. That's part of his problem. So, that was the whole thing with J.T. Barrett, and Joe Burrow was pretty solid. He just apparently lost the quarterback battle at Ohio State this year and said, I got to go play somewhere, wound up at LSU, and hasn't been there long, and he's already chased off 2 scholarship quarterbacks who basically are like going, look, and a young dude too that was a promising guy that said, I can't compete with this. I'm going to be 4th on the depth chart. So they've only got 2 quarterbacks right now, but it looks like Joe Burrow, as they call him down there, is doing really good, and I think he's scary good.
All right, so I mean, is it scary enough for my fellow Canes fans to say this is somebody that we need to lose sleep over? Because now this game, believe it or not, it's 2 weeks from Sunday, Labor Day weekend.
Right?
It's crazy. 2 weeks from Sunday, it's coming.
I think he makes LSU a really legit threat. And I mean, we'll see what they have replenished at the running back position because they just, lost a really good one there recently. But the LSU receivers are always solid, and it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I think that Joe Burrow there at the helm for LSU is going to make it a scarier game for the Canes.
You're scaring me with this kid, man, because
we'll see. Said, he may come out and lay an egg, but I'm telling you, I think he's a mobile guy, pretty solid arm. Good decision making. He's had 3 years, and that was what the one quarterback who was a freshman at LSU when he was leaving had said. He's like, you could tell this guy's really well coached.
Great.
And he is a very solid player. He had nothing but really good things to say about him. He's really lighting it up.
I mean, he's got to be good enough for two fellow quarterbacks to say, screw this, I'm out of here, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it's two bounce, same day.
That's not a good sign. For Canes fans, that's not a good sign. To see that happen, you're like, okay, this guy must be pretty good. I don't like that he's mobile either. I don't like that because the Canes have a tough time against mobile quarterbacks. Historically,
he's not the kind of guy that is just going to light you up with his legs.
He's not Michael Vick.
No, he's not Michael Vick, but he's a guy that can escape in space, and so he's a guy you have to shadow. You have to account for him because he's one of those guys. He could break a 10 to 15 yarder and make it legit. You got to account for him.
And again, against my own point, to be fair, and maybe I'm just doing this to encourage myself, Miami did really well against the Notre Dame quarterback last year, who was more of a mobile quarterback as well.
I think this guy's a lot better.
So, okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think Joe Burrow's I think you're going to see him as a better player.
I was trying to cheer myself up, and now you brought me back
down.
But
I think the thing is to me, it really depends upon how good the LSU running back is.
Yeah.
And if he's a threat, then I think Miami, you're in a tough position. Because that's going to be a triple threat on that. But if the running game is not legit, but LSU always has a good legit run game,
and it's a little scary. Not that I think Miami's going to lose because I don't. It's a game they should win. They're actually favored right now by about 3 points. If you look at the current lines, 2.5, 3.
I still like the Canes in this game. Yeah,
but it's just the unknown that's
and
a little
I like
scary.
It by more than 3. I'm surprised it's actually that low.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
I could see it being a 6-point spread.
I was thinking, just looking at this game on paper, I would think Miami wins by around 7 to 10 points.
Yeah.
Just looking at it. But it's the unknown. And maybe that's why Vegas set the line at 3, because the unknown, you don't know what you're going to get here. And it's the first game of the season.
I think Burrow's good enough. I give him 4 points. I think it's 4 points in LSU's favor. That's how good I think he can be. And he's had limited action. That's the thing. But just looking at his technique and his form, I think he's something to just pay attention, see what he does. I think LSU actually has a legit quarterback this year.
Okay.
I think he's going to get the lead. I saw this article about the 3 kinds of Canes fans. And I don't know, are there arguably 3? Because I pretty much see the one that's just number 1 for the most part. They call him the Canes bro.
There's so many Canes bros.
Canes bros, yeah. I mean, to me, that's the predominant Canes fan. Canes bro's got the 305 in at least one of his social media handles.
Correct.
They say he's aggressive. He won't stop yelling at opposing fans, and he will get you in a fight.
That's about 80% of the Miami Hurricanes.
That's what I was going to say. I pretty much know Canes bro.
It is. It's
the others. Yeah. Okay. They say the second kind of Canes fan is the tailgate aficionado.
I've seen those.
I say their spread is ridiculously elaborate. They're going to have a flat screen TV, possibly a DJ, and a table lined with Jell-O shots, and they'll be roasting like lobsters or grilling out something fancy.
Yeah, you see some of the roasted pigs sometimes. You get that going. Those are the guys who are normally parked at the front of the stadium.
Yeah, they're legit. For Florida, it's the Bull Gators. They're the ones that have the money. They got the best parking spots. They got the legit tailgating going on.
Yes.
The one that I've really seen, and I mean, it does happen in other games I've gone to, but Miami, the music and the DJs, and it's like a dance party.
It gets
That's
pretty.
If you had to say what's unique about a Canes game, that to me is what was unique. Even though you see DJs and you'll hear people playing the music, that's one thing that stood out to me when I've gone to Canes games is just I'm like it's like a dance party in the parking lot.
It is,
and it is dance music.
Yes, it's a
hip hop and dance.
It's very much a club setting at a Miami Hurricanes tailgate, which to your point, I think it's very unique.
And I've never been anywhere else that's had that kind of.
Because you've been around. I mean, you've gone to a lot of different games throughout the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a unique thing down here. It's a Miami club setting, kind of mixed in with like a family reunion cookout. That's what it's like.
Yeah, I get that, and I love it. I think Miami. I think the Canes ought to do more with it. I mean, I would like to see them. I mean, just do a whole mobile dance area. Seriously, to me, I think it'd be awesome.
Hey, look, they're taking part of that parking lot for the Miami tennis tournament, so why not take some of it and put a dance floor in there?
Yeah, right. That's true.
Go for it.
They say the third type of Canes fan is the mom and pop Canes fan.
I think this is where I fit in.
Okay, they've seen the good times, they've seen the bad. Win or lose, they're going to be back next week, same place, same time.
Yeah, that's about right, and it's not something that you get into a fight over, post game in the parking lot. You're just down. You're very
They're
down.
Disappointed. Yeah. We lost. Oh well.
Yeah, it just kind of stinks. You're down for a little while. You pick yourself up by your bootstraps and you go on to the next week. I think that's where I'm at.
But you're kind of right though. 80% of Canes fans are Canes bro.
Oh, for sure.
And if the Canes aren't winning, the Canes bro ain't gonna show.
He's very loud.
Yeah.
At the start. And then he'll leave at halftime if they're down by 20.
You've got the expensive tailgaters, and then you got the mom and pops.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that pretty much covers most of them. I know you can say there's a couple of other ones out there, but that covers pretty much a wide gamut of Canes fans. It's fair.
Also, a cool little list of the ACC's best craft beer drinking cities. And they say from last year, the Canes are way up. They put them at 6th place now in the ACC.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, and that's because a lot of good breweries have opened up. You got Miami Brewing, Concrete Beach, J. Wakefield, Wynwood Brewing, and Biscayne Bay is the ones that they list out there. And this is a southeastern publication. They got Tallahassee and Florida State at number 11 on the list.
Oh, sorry, Florida State.
That Proof Brewing, I'm a craft beer guy. That is pretty good. You'll see Proof different places. Proof is pretty solid.
I thought you might know which one that was. I've never had it.
Yeah, Proof is decent. I've had them. They go to our local beer fest and stuff. Deep Brewing Company, and then Ology or something like that. Ology. I might have had that, but I think I had that late, and I was pretty hammered.
I was going to say, this might be a reason why you don't remember if you had it.
Yeah, Proof I start early, and then, I'll drink whatever later.
Sounds right.
Number 1, the ACC. They say Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts for Boston College.
Yeah, it surprised me. I didn't think of that.
They do a lot of craft beer in Massachusetts in that area, so maybe. Haven't been there, haven't tried it personally, but Trillium, Lamplighter, and Night Shift, they say, are the breweries to check out.
Sounds like a road trip you might need to make there.
Oh, gladly.
Yeah.
I love doing it, man. I'm so excited.
Go for it,
College
man.
football coming up, baby.
Yes.
Coming up here in a couple minutes, talking a little bit about the Dolphins and Devontae Parker. We discussed him yesterday. Could he be trade bait? Could he be gone from the Dolphins? And is it his fault? Do the Dolphins actually carry a lot of the blame for his lack of productivity so far in camp? We'll discuss next.
Be part of the show on Twitter at 640 The Hurricane, #Kevin's Other Show.
Well, tomorrow night, Miami Dolphins going to be on TV from Carolina 7:30.
Oh, dang, you're right. Tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just hit me.
Check out the game.
Okay.
It's going to be an interesting mix, even more so for a preseason game for the Dolphins, because they got some key players on the offense, which I think a lot of times I'm interested to see Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah,
I want to see what Jerome Baker's doing, for the linebacking core, and see how that looks, and see what the Dolphins starting defensive line that they're putting out there looks like. So I mean, there are some things on the defensive side that I'm interested in, but ultimately you're looking at some of the big names. Gesicki, I want to see what he does. Can he hold a couple blocks? Will he show his freak athleticism and bringing in a couple passes? Devontae Parker is not going to be in the game. I don't think Kenny Stills is probably going to play either because he's got that ankle
situation. They're both out.
So Devontae Parker's out with the broken middle finger. It's going to be going on. You've also, running back-wise, you got Balaj. I think he's sitting, right? Because he's is he concussion protocol?
He was in the protocol. So they're saying that he's probably going to be out for this game. I mean, why rush him back? So we might actually get to see Frank Gore.
I'll take that trade though.
Right?
Yeah, if you throw a little Frank Gore in there.
Why not?
You might. Well, I mean, you're going to have to, right? Because you're going to have Kenyon Drake, and who else is going to carry the rock? We got Balaj out.
Yeah, and Kenyon Drake isn't going to play more than the first quarter at the most.
I mean, you don't want to. A preseason game, no. Could you imagine running him 4 quarters?
No. Don't. Yeah, why? Why would you do that? So I'm excited to see how Frank Gore does, too, because
they got to be really bummed, though, the Balaj is in the concussion protocol, because this is the game you want to give him 2.5 quarters worth of work.
Yeah, he needed it too.
Yeah, he did.
He did need it. And now you're going to have to play him more in the third preseason game because at this point, I mean, Frank Gore is the backup running back.
Yeah, he is. But I could see where they would be using, a good mix of Kenyon Drake and bringing in Frank Gore.
Yes.
And balancing that out a little bit and maybe using him in different, yardage situations. Almost like a tandem kind of thing. I think Kenyon Drake will get, obviously, a bulk of the carry. Probably maybe 60, 70% of them. But still, I think Frank Gore is going to get used a lot.
Kind of like an old school Thunder and Lightning combo.
Hey, Thunder and Lightning, baby. I love that
go
attack.
For it. Why not?
But you don't want to use Frank Gore that much right now. That's why, I think ultimately Gase has got to be like, ideally, I don't like what's going on here. There's just too many injuries going into the second preseason game, and I'm going to have to give some guys I don't really want, too many reps.
Who else are they going to run? I got to look this up. Like, who else is on there besides Balazs, Frank Gore, and
I don't know.
Kenyon Drake? I mean, this is not good.
Well, I guess what you do is you don't care about the score, so you probably just adjust your play calling to say, let's not run it a ton. I mean, if we get, smoked by the Panthers, who cares? You would rather get smoked by the Panthers than you would get one of your running backs injured, right?
Oh, for sure.
So I don't think you care about that. So to me, I would probably run a lot of sets where you get Gesicki out there and you try to work him a good bit and see what he can do. And you got, a couple other tight ends. You want to see how you want to use them.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Gesicki's going to be your starter when the actual season begins against the Titans. And, of course, I forgot about Sonoris Perry. He actually played against Tampa Bay, and he wasn't bad.
Okay.
So there's a guy that they'll be playing instead of Balazs.
Okay, yeah, so he'll get a lot of carries.
He'll probably play the second half, the entire second half. I could see that.
Yesterday, you were making the case that Devontae Parker, who before he broke his middle finger, they were saying just wasn't really clicking with Tannehill. The chemistry was bad, and Xavier Howard apparently was just eating him up. Like he couldn't shake him. And they're saying Xavier Howard looks great, but was he looking great or Devontae Parker looking bad?
Yeah, it's good for Xavier Howard. I mean, it's encouraging on that end.
So Dave Hyde from the Sun Sentinel, who we've had on this show many times, he was saying maybe the Dolphins just haven't given Devontae Parker a fair shake. That maybe they're not trying to develop him like they should to get him ready to go and get him into the flow of the offense. He said, you look already at what he's seen in inter-squad scrimmage in the first preseason game, and there didn't seem to be like the simple kind of patterns that you usually do. You want to build up not only just a quarterback's confidence, but the receivers as well.
Sure.
But the patterns that they had Devontae Parker running weren't conducive to getting that quick little grab and be like, okay, cool, I'm in the flow of the game. And you look at it in the inter-squad scrimmage, 0 throws to Parker. First preseason game, 0 throws.
So is this a lack of confidence, or is this a sabotage, or is it bad coaching? I mean, because either way, it's not good.
I would say the argument Dave Hyde's making, being like, okay, well, decide what you're going to do with this guy.
Yeah.
Are you going to cut him, trade him, or are you going to actually really try to develop him, get him into the flow of the offense? Because, here you go. He's not going to play the second preseason game. You got 2 more left, and then what are you going to do? You got Albert Wilson out there. Is he going to wind up taking the slot? And then if that's the case, Devontae Parker, is this the kind of guy, did you draft him that high to have him sit the bench?
Right. I'm telling you right now, man, and I know I said some of this yesterday, but I'm going to kind of expand on it now. I am perfectly happy, and I think a lot of Dolphins fans are going to see tomorrow night, you're going to see Albert Wilson and Grant come out there, and they're going to light it up. These guys are good, and Grant runs a 4.3 40. Albert Wilson has played in the NFL for a few years. He's that shifty type of wide receiver who can get out in space after making a catch and get some extra yards. I'm totally fine with Stills, Grant, Wilson, and then hopefully Gesicki develops a tight end. I think you're solid there.
It's going to be a fun game to watch, just to see exactly how Gase is going to use this second preseason game, with the team and what he's want to try to discover from what's going on.
And maybe it's a blessing in disguise because you're going to have Grant and Wilson out there to get some more reps. Maybe that's what they need anyway. Maybe we discover tomorrow night these guys are actually a better bet than playing Devontae Parker.
I think it would be interesting to keep an eye on Brock Osweiler, too.
Oh,
because nobody's high on him. And when we've talked to Dave Hyde, too, he thinks that the Dolphins need to just go onto the scrap heap before the season starts and pick somebody else up because he doesn't like anybody that they got in there. And, that includes David Fales. So, Osweiler, who knows? If he has a bad outing in this game tomorrow night, he could do himself in to the point where he gets cut and is saying it's not worth it. And wouldn't that be fascinating to have a guy that, a couple years ago was going to be somebody's franchise quarterback to now you can't make a team?
Paid a lot of money for him.
Yeah.
The Houston Texans did. And they went to the Browns. These guy's been all over the place. He could end up getting cut. I think he won't. The only reason he wouldn't get cut, in my mind, is if for some reason he lights it up tomorrow night, which I don't think he's going to.
I think he's playing to be a Dolphin. I would not be shocked if Osweiler comes out and just looks atrocious.
I fully expect that.
If you see on Monday or when they start doing cuts that Osweiler could go in the first round.
Man.
And then the Dolphins are in the market to try to find somebody else to come in.
That would be something.
It would be crazy.
Imagine he goes in the first round of cuts. My gosh.
Yeah.
Are you interested in any of the games tonight? You got the Super Bowl rematch. Eagles-Patriots.
Okay. Honestly, to me, it's football. So
Yeah.
I love seeing it. It's interesting to see, what's going to happen. And I think for other fans, too, watching this, you're going to see a lot of players that your favorite team, right now, they could be playing for the Eagles, but you could see some players out there that are on the Dolphins roster when the season comes around. So I think, keep an eye on it. It's good. And two, everybody right now is starting to put together, who you want to play for your fantasy teams.
Right.
So keeping an eye on some of these guys and saying, okay, that guy might be a sleeper. Oh, I forgot about that guy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think all these games have interest for that.
Oh, for sure. You got Sam Chai's coming back tonight, Jets and Redskins.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's 8 o'clock. And your Steelers play at 8 o'clock, too. They're at Green Bay. 3 solid games tonight, I think.
Wow, that's what Steelers on tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
See, I just got you excited.
Yeah, no, I'm ready to go. I want to see with Sam Darnold.
I'm very interested to see that tonight, how he does in his second game now.
Yeah, it's just, it's so funny because I saw this New York sports reporter. He was like going, yeah, these preseason games mean nothing. If somebody lights it up, don't even think about it. And then literally 3 hours later, he said, Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback for the Jets. I'm like, wait, didn't you just say these mean nothing?
Until it's your guy that does well. I love it.
All right, good stuff to check out. Check us out on YouTube. You can go to the KVJ Show and find us there. You can also listen to these podcasts commercial free, and you can listen to them on demand, and they don't get cut off by Yankees games. So go find those on any kind of podcast app, and you can also follow us on Twitter at Kevin's Other Show.
You listened to him on the KVJ Show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Wellington Anti-Aging. Low T? Go to WellingtonAntiAging.com. And by Bremen Motor Cars in West Palm Beach, a world-class experience. Shop BremenPorsche.com now. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.